for week 4. I continued with my theme of the Moravian missionaries' outreach to the Cherokee Nation for this week's research. Now, I had used the Project Muse database before for previous projects, and I found it very easy to find information on there. It was very similar to the ProQuest search engine, and I found several articles on it. The Oxford Scholarship one gave me a little more trouble. A lot of the stuff I came across, like was said in the instructions, had the red lock beside it. So I had a title and it looked interesting, even could look at a summary in some cases. But then I found myself having to get that title or information and then look it up on either ProQuest or JSTOR. But I did manage to find several articles on this topic, as I have for every week. Um, the articles, once again, they split into two categories. There are plenty of articles on the Cherokee Nation, plenty of articles on the Moravian missionaries. The Moravians actually have their own historical journal that comes out twice a year. But there's articles beyond that. But it narrows down quite a bit when you get to interactions between the Native Americans and the Moravian missionaries. But there's still a decent amount of material. So for my first article, and I found this originally on Oxford Scholarship, however, it was locked, so I had to go to ProQuest to eventually get it. This one was entitled Shaken Spirits, Cherokees, Moravian Missionaries, and the New Madrid Earthquake. This is by Jonathan Hancock. Now, what this refers to is a major earthquake that centered around the southeastern part of Missouri, but was felt as far southeast as North Georgia. This occurred at first in December 1811, and then there was a series of aftershocks, major aftershocks, that continued until March of 1812. Now, this, of course, disrupted society as any earthquake could be expected to do, but it complicated the relationship amongst the Moravian missionaries, at least at the Spring Place mission in North Georgia, because for many of the Cherokees they were working with, they saw this as a sign that the Europeans were disrupting things. They blamed them, not all Cherokees, but many blamed the missionaries for the earthquake to begin with. And this caused tensions amongst them and their missionary outreach, and just between them and many Cherokee families in the area. So that article deals with that and how that tension was resolved, or at least partially resolved or dealt with by the two sides. On the Project Muse database, I came across an article called Healing Body and Soul in Labrador, the Practice of Medicine by Early Moravian Missionaries. Now, this article does not take place in North Georgia at the Spring Place mission, which I'm kind of trying to focus on. But what it does hint at is the fact that a lot of these missionaries, when they set up their missions, they would establish schools and oftentimes hospitals. So it was a combination of educational and medical outreach. This occurred at the Spring Place mission too, which is my focus. So this one, in this particular case, this article is about them reaching out to the Labrador region of Canada, but a lot of the things that happened there carried over here. And of course, we're talking early 19th century medicine. So while the Moravians offered it to the Native Americans, in lots of cases, the medical care that they offered was not much better than the traditional medicine a lot of the natives had available to them before the missionaries showed up. But this just highlights a different aspect of the missionary outreach and trying to bring the natives in and gain the trust of them in order to spread the gospel. For my last article, or the third article, I came across one by Felicity Jens entitled Collecting Cultures, Institutional Motivations for 19th Century Ethnographical Collections Formed by Moravian Missionaries. And this highlights the fact that in many cases, these missionaries were the first people to actually do an in-depth study of the societies they were reaching out to. So they collected all sorts of information and artifacts and have provided a very valuable anthropological source for these societies. A lot of the information we have on how the Native Americans lived and stuff come from missionaries, but of course you have to take that information with the caveat that they are looking at it from a Christian European's perspective. The value of this information is still, is priceless. Oftentimes, these are the only sources we have. I'm finding this also at my own area of research with the Moravian missions. I found this week very helpful, and while I had trouble with the Oxford database, I think it will be useful in the future.